Hi Year 10, Mr. Tapley here to walk you through your next lesson of Year 10 Geography in Semester 2. So this lesson we are looking at environmental change. So first lesson was kind of a class introduction. This is our first real lesson looking at environmental geography. So our learning intention is to develop our understanding of environmental impacts and how our world is changing as a result of human activities. So we're connecting human and environmental geography. So how are human activities impacting the world around us, positively, but mostly negatively. Success criteria. We're trying to identify environmental changes and consequences around the world and connect these changes to human activities throughout history. So, the environment. Our world and our life depends on the health of the environment. The environment provides us with food, light, water, and air to all living organisms. The ecological services provided by the environment include, so this is a list of ecological, so environments, services, so support actions, things that the environment provides for us. So the things the environment does for us are natural resources. So the environment has things like coal, iron, wood, food. The environment regulates services that absorbs waste, which is a fancy way of saying when we make a mistake, when we, for example, spill oil in the ocean or we throw rubbish into the ground, the environment is actually capable of healing itself, of improving the environment without our assistance. And then it does things called support services, which are things like trees and forests absorbing CO2 and then producing oxygen, which is important for us to live, obviously. So the environment is very important. It does a lot of things for us. Therefore, it is in our best interest to keep it healthy, if we want to stay healthy. However, human activities can damage the environment to such an extent that the ecological services we rely upon can be threatened, they can be diminished, they can be made smaller, or they can be eliminated entirely. This is now happening around the world as our fragile global ecosystem, or environment, is impacted by human actions and phenomenon such as pollution, overexploitation of resources, which is a fancy way of saying we're taking too much from the environment. Instead of taking one fish from the ocean, we're taking 1 million fish. Deforestation, so chopping down big forests, and climate change. So all of those negative human activities can be observed in this documentary here called Before the Flood, which is what you'll be watching to answer these questions here. So you just need to use that link there to get into ClickView, and that will take you to the National Geographic documentary Before the Flood. So it's about 90 minutes, so it will run for a full double period. So you've got the full double period to watch the documentary, and while you're watching it, answer these questions. You can watch it and then answer the questions at the end. I think it's just easier for you guys to be answering these throughout the documentary, so you don't forget about it. You can pause the doco and then write stuff down. You can rewind, etc. And I'll show you where that is located. So you just need to click on that link there, and we'll take you to Before the Flood.
Dioxide, CO2.
You guys can't hear that. It talks about environmental changes around the world, following Mr. Tapley's celebrity doppelganger, Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm sure you can see the resemblance. So yeah, it's a really interesting documentary. Shows you some of the real life, real world impacts of climate change. Instead of reading about something in your textbook, you can see what the ice looks like when it's melting, what the sea levels look like when they're rising, and how that impacts island nations like, Australia. Lost my questions now. So in your digital notebook, which most of you accessed in the previous lesson, which I was happy to see, I will be checking up on students who have not engaged in class activities, who have not written in their student notebook or done the class introduction survey at the end of the week. I understand it's a bit stressful, a bit anxious at the start of the week, so I'm not going to be hammering you 1 minute after the class ends, because I understand, your maths lesson might run a few minutes late, but I will be following up once a week, or at least once a week, to see how students are going, what they need help with, and if they're not doing anything, why they're not doing anything. So make sure you're using that digital notebook, and if you have questions about that, you're having trouble with it, just let me know so I can help. So completing these 4 questions in your digital notebook. 1. What environmental changes are occurring around the world? So what are some changes to our environment that you can see in this documentary? You don't need to go into the textbook, you don't need to do a lot of research, it's all there in the documentary. 2. What human activities are contributing to these changes? So in question 1, you might write climate change. In question 2, what causes climate change? Question 3, what are the consequences of these changes? So what is the impact on the environment specifically? So if I was again following on from my last answer, so what are the consequences of climate change? Well, if climate change happens, this, and this are going to happen to the environment. Question 3b, what are the short-term and long-term effects of these changes on human life? So in question 3, you're looking at the impact to the environment. So what's happening to the oceans, to the animals, to the trees, to the etceteras. Question 3b, a lot of you guys are going to say, well, I don't care about the environment. What about you? What's going to happen to you if these environmental changes continue going on? Because again, as I mentioned earlier, trees make oxygen, you need oxygen. 3b, you can write, I'm going to run out of oxygen, it's going to be hard to breathe. So that's why you're doing this lesson, guys. I did promise I would try and make this video a bit shorter than the last one, but again, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. You will see that I've been uploading lesson plans to Compass, and I've also organized myself and put resources into Compass resources. So there's our slides, video lectures, textbook chapters, and it's all there in Compass resources as well. And yeah, best of luck, guys. Cheers.